Welcome, everybody. We are having a chat with Mel and Andrew. For those of you who don't know them, Andrew is the location leader here in Tamworth. Very exciting. Took my job. and Mel is our kids and youth leader for the 10 a.m. service, and then obviously all our youth. She's an amazing woman, busy, and great capacity. So we just wanted to have a chat today because we're kind of in a season of we're coming out of one thing and into another as a church. And so just wanted to chat to you guys and see what your experience was, and we're just chilling out on the lounge. So let me start with you, Andrew, because you're holding the mic.
All right.
Share with us what you were thinking going into the time of fasting this time around.
Well, I was thinking that because there was that job handover and that shift in our staffing in Tamworth, I was desperate for God to increase my capacity, for me to go deeper with him and to just be spiritually positioned for this coming season. Didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
That was the prayer point. I didn't know how that was loaded, but I just had to pray that and just allow God to do what he needed to do in me.
Do you reckon that there was a greater hunger, excuse the pun, but for that because of the season that you're walking into?
Yeah. I just needed God to move in me, not, taking on more for God, different responsibility, not having done that before. So, but knowing full well that it was a God positioning and a God moving with you guys moving into your next and me moving into my next, I just needed help from him. And that was my prayer. I didn't need deliverance from a sin. I didn't need big answers or miracles from him. I just needed him to position me and mould me as I needed to be for this next season. Yeah.
Because deliverance from sin is just on the regular for you. Like that wasn't anything special this time, Brett.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's already my my biggest spiritual discipline. God, just casting sin onto the cross. Anyway.
Mel, how about you? What was motivating you to kind of even broach this? Were you thinking about it before it, or was it very much on the moment?
I must admit, last year when it came up, I was like, oh, sweet, I've got a really good excuse not to do it because I'm busy and we just moved. And so this year I was actually really excited and like, yes, like I need a motivation. Often I'll think, oh, yeah, I'll fast this week. And I don't do it because there's nobody, keeping an eye on me, so to speak. So I was actually excited because I feel like I used to fast when I was young and I only had myself to be responsible for, and since kids and life, and I've just not done it just because I'm a slacker probably. So I was actually really excited, like, yes, I want to get back and just basically get my first love back. Not that I've lost it, but just, the edges are getting pretty blunt. And so I was really excited for that.
Yeah, wow. And Mel, you went hardcore. You went all food.
I did, because I'm a little bit of an all or nothing person. So I knew that if I said, okay, I'm just going to fast sugar, that I probably wouldn't stick to it. So I did fast all food, and I allowed myself to have a tea or I ended up having some broth because I was like getting really like my mouth feels awful. But actually it was great. And apart from like the hunger lessened, my family kept going, you okay? Like I still had to prepare meals. That was the hard bit. Like I'm cooking a green curry or like spag bowl's pretty nice when you're hungry.
Yes.
So I was still cooking and like, okay, I'm going to leave the building now. You guys eat. I'm going to go. But yeah, it was really great and had some really sweet times with Jesus. It's not like I was, God, I need a breakthrough in a certain area. You had said something about seeking his face, and that's what I really just wanted to honestly do. So I tried to avoid looking in the mirror and going, ooh, weight loss. I tried to avoid that because I didn't want that to be my motivation. And so, just had some really sweet times, lots of tears before Jesus.
So Mel, we were at your place for dinner where you cooked up a big meal for us at one point, and then you just kind of went, okay, I'll be back in a bit, while we all sat down to eat.
To clean up.
To clean up, that's all right. Yeah, but else
hear it from all the mums.
So what did that time look like? You'd walk out of the house. What did that time look like for you?
Oh, so I would just, we're very blessed on our farm to have another house, and we've got lots of places. I've said to Mary before, I don't know how I'd go living back in town, because I can easily go off somewhere and know that no one's going to drive by, no one's going to walk through and see me bawling or jumping around or yelling or whatever, at the devil, that is. So I would just go away and just draw my mind to Jesus and try to still my mind and focus on him. Yeah.
I love that. Wow. Andrew, what did your routine, because obviously, like, I could just fill my day with work. If I got hungry, that could distract me. So I had to be very intentional about actually spending time with God. How did you navigate that? How did you do that?
So we had a prayer meeting here every morning, early morning, for the 21 days.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time I had to get up like super early. That was part of my fast, to get up earlier than I usually would, to spend time with God, and then come into the prayer meeting here, and then go home and start the morning routine of kids and getting out the door. So that was great. I had to I had to do social media updates first, so that the 5 a.m. people weren't texting me going, "Where's the social media update? What are we praying for today?" with a prayer point. So where's the devotional? So I didn't want them to be cranky with me. So that was a good motivator. Yeah. But then there was this huge gap between like that hour and coming in here for 6:30 prayer. So it was just God time, and it was great. It was prayer walks with the dog, or just sitting in my study and reading, reflecting, praying. So it was really cool, and it was I do that daily, but to have it like for an extended period of time, longer, more intentional, it was fantastic. Yeah.
What are you thinking, you guys, just both speak to this, about what will you continue to implement, if anything, or like happily wait till next year and see what happens next year? Or is there something that you're hoping to do more regularly? What did you come out of it with?
Do you have something ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God was really talking to me about not just having like a fasting block, but live a fasted life. So, I'd want to say it's going brilliantly, but it's a work in progress. Just trying to be sensitive to him, living a fasted life. If there's things that he's like, right, Mel, I need you to pull away and spend time with me more intentionally, because, you can get so busy in your day and you're like talking to God at 10 o'clock at night. Oh, I'm sorry, God, I didn't do blah, blah, blah. So, trying to be more intentional about blocking in, okay, this is I'm going to actually fast this. Yeah,
great.
For me, there's that verse in 2 Timothy 1:7 where God gives us a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
Power, love, self-discipline. And so when you do decide to step into a fast, the discipline is crazy because you've decided to cut something out or do something more of a spiritual discipline, and it's remarkably easy because you do it for God and you do it with God. He partners with you. And so to then implement that discipline post the 21 days is just easier than usual. So I will struggle with discipline throughout the year, as most humans do. But then that fast just repositions it. So it is easier to cut rubbish out of your diet or to get up earlier, to sleep better, whatever it might be, to pray more or deeper or read more. It's just easier. And so you just got to run with that momentum. Otherwise, another year goes by and you're hanging out for that 21 days that we organise as a church.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It offers a brilliant segue, but just before we do, did you have any, Mel, I'm just thinking of you in particular going all water, did you have any detox? Like Phoebe and I were talking that we got massive backaches and our legs, we couldn't sleep at night because our legs were aching in that first week of the fast. Did you have anything?
I just remember waking up all the time going, I'm hungry again. hungry again. You know, your husband's snoring. Stop it! I'm feeling hungry now because of you. Stuff like that. So certainly hunger, tired. I don't know if I was particularly grumpy. I think Murray had the first day I went to pick the kids up from school. They're like, "Okay, Mum, you're not driving." I'm like, why? I mean, I'm capable. I can drive. And they're like, nope, you've been fasting. Get out of the car. Dad said not to let you drive. I'm like, mind you, I went without food for 9 days, so they very quickly forgot about that. Yeah. Day 9, they were expecting me still to do everything. But no, not too bad. I didn't get aches and that sort of stuff. It was just hungry and, just my mouth. I'm like, I mustn't be drinking enough. Like I was drinking a lot, but it was like still felt like I needed more fluid or something.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Andrew, you were just talking about the discipline, and so we're heading into another Christian discipline, which we're doing first spiritual growth campaign of every year now. We're doing another practice. There's like 12. We're going to take 12 years to get through this, but long-term thinkers. But this first one is Sabbath, and tell me, did you have any hang-ups about the thought of a Sabbath? Did you have any, thoughts of it being religious or anything like that?
In some respects, yeah. Like I didn't want to go like full Jewish Old Testament and, automate my lights. Yeah. Like cook the lamb on Thursday, eat on Friday and automate my light switches so I don't go to the exerting effort of flicking a light switch. I didn't want to go to that. But I think I think we all want to have a day off. Oh, yeah. I think we all want to be intentional with that, but we just, for whatever reason, find it hard to do nothing. That's all it is. Just do nothing. Yeah. Spend more time with God. Do nothing. We're like, oh, no, I've got to do something. So we just fill our days. And so, this is gonna be hard. This might be harder than cutting food or doing a fast. Yeah. I don't.
As someone who loves food, I'm just going to take that in for a second.
Yeah. Well, me too. Yeah, but I don't understand the irony of finding it so difficult to do nothing. Yeah. Like God says, do nothing for a day. And we find it so hard. Yeah. I don't understand why. Yeah. But it's just going to take a bit of discipline. Yeah. Switch the phone off. Yeah. Be intentional with family. Spend more time with God. Yeah. See how we go. Yeah. Yeah. So I won't be here on Sunday at church. Do my job, so that'd be great.
I'm going
to the beach.
Mel, how about you? This seems like an impossibility for you. You're a farmer. Yeah. And obviously there are things. How do you see yourself appropriating?
I don't know. Even this Sunday, we had a mob of cattle to go out, so you've got to go still do stuff. Yeah. I actually don't know how we're going to implement it. I think for us a big thing would be even just not watching TV on a Sunday.
Yeah, right.
But then Survivor's on. The kids will be anarchy, Mum, no, flick off the internet. And I think also for us just resting our minds as well, not just Murray and I are constantly what have we got to use? What's next week look like? And you guys will be the same. How do you do that? But it does talk about striving to enter his rest. Yeah. So there is a certain amount of effort it's going to take. It's not just easy and it's not just physical rest. It's everything.
Yeah. We watched the John Mark Comer study last night, so it'll be, by the time this is aired, it'll be 3 weeks in. But I actually teared up as he was talking about the physical impact on your body, and then he started to talk about rest. And as he's describing the physical rest of Sabbath, I started to get teary, and I was like, right, quick, do something so that this emotion doesn't come to. So there's even all that, what's going to come up as you rest, how you allow yourself to process different emotions and thoughts. But you raise a good point there, Mel, about that actually it's not just physical rest, and we talked about it on Sunday. It's starting with that rest of Jesus has won for us. Can you speak to us about, as an incredibly driven acts of service person, how you go, do you find it hard to not just want to do for God?
Totally. Even at home, if I'm needing to spend time with God or I know he's calling me away, I'm like, hey, just pause, God, just that load of washing, or just got to cook that meal, or just Murray said to feed the calves, I just got to and yeah, but none of that. Yes, you've got to do all that, but it's, I guess, your attitude of where that fits in your schedule. And often God's the last thing on my schedule, even though He's with me all the time, and including me. I'm including Him all the time. I actually don't know how I'm going to tackle it. I'm excited though, but I don't want it just to be, hey, we're just doing this for this season.
Yeah.
It just really, like you getting all teary, you just need to really, okay, I want to embrace this for my life, for my kids' lives.
Yeah.
And this is who we are as a family. This is what we do. So I'm excited.
Yeah, great. Macca, have you ever had to wrestle with a works-based mentality to your faith? Have you ever had to kind of realign your thinking to the fact that God is pleased with you for you and He's won everything for you, rather than, can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely, because the trap is being the hands and feet of Jesus and being in ministry as your job. There's always a reason to do more or to help someone or to do something that someone has requested. But Jesus went away to mountainsides, to gardens, to the bottom of boats in storms, to he just had to get away. And there was a lot of need. And, he could have had a ministry that stretched bigger geographies and more towns and more people, but he chose to go away for a night or however long it was each time. So I think as someone who's a leader, the people that you're shepherding need the best you. They need the best Andrew, and so they require me to have a Sabbath, and so that's hard. Like when you are,
because they might not know that that's what they need you to have.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like they might think that because I'm a pastor, I only work Sundays and I play golf 6 days a week. So anyway, it's not the case. But just to have the best version of me, and so that's Sabbath, that's health. That's sleep, that's making the most of the time that you do have for tasks. So when you do sit down and do sermon prep, it is, all right, God, help me to lock in mentally, hear you spiritually so that I can do this in 8 hours, not 10 or 12, so that I can utilise those hours for whatever else you need me to utilise. And God is the eternal God. He creates time, and He allows you to utilise time differently in other time spots in your week, and He can redeem time. So time wasted isn't always time wasted to God. You might think that it is, but He will find ways for you to get stuff done that need to be done. Yeah,
we're talking with at Port, a medical student, fifth-year medical student. We're talking about this concept, and he was saying he's from Indian heritage, so his parents never have a day off, and he was saying that. He said, as I'm trying to wrap my head around this, I've got so much to complete and I'm very efficient with my time. He said, so if I take this time, it just makes all the other days bigger. I can't see how this works. And Daz was encouraging him around, it takes faith that God is going to make up and make you more efficient, make you more productive. And that's really true. I was talking to your sister. I hope she's all right, Fee. Hope you're all right with this reference. But she's been practicing Sabbath for a while. Yeah. And she was saying about how she switches her phone off before she goes to bed on the Friday night and then doesn't switch it back on until after lunchtime on Saturday. And the first couple of times was something that she could only describe as withdrawals, like proper withdrawals. And having just been through the fast and felt all those withdrawals, I'm like, what's going to happen there? What's your biggest kind of thing that you think will be the hardest in terms of letting go in order to Sabbath?
Yeah, I think like the pastoral call from someone who needs you at that time and they need that help through that moment. And that moment doesn't always last for a day or a week or a season of life. It might be needed at that point. It might be a mate who's struggling with temptation online and he just, like, you've invited him to text you to say, in that moment, text me and I'll pray for you and we'll just see God move. But then, he does it on the day that I got my phone off. Where were you, bro? Like, I was, Sabbathing. Sorry. Confess your sin to Anyway, but just to use that as an example, like a brother needed you in that moment and you weren't available. And so, but, you know, he needs God more than he needs me.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's our job, to turn people to Jesus, not to be Jesus for them. And so it's just, you just got to rewire your paradigm there so that people understand that and you understand that, so that you put that value of Sabbath on your life.
They'll, he talks about in the first session, which everyone would have watched by the time they see this, that that they actually have, he says, even start with 3 hours, like just, you know, of turning your phone off or whatever. Do you feel like that's an achievable time frame for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And like even what Andrew's saying, you don't ever see Jesus when he gets told Lazarus is sick. He doesn't go, "Oh my goodness, how did that happen? Quick, I've got to run." He just chills and goes, "It's okay."
Yeah.
All in good time. And like, I'm sure the sisters would have been bagging him out. Where is he? You know, you're supposed to love our brother and he's dead. Like, Jesus, the way he thinks, and we're obviously meant to become more like him. So, I think obviously 3 hours, I'm saying, easy. I just won't cook dinner on a Sunday night. No, we can totally do that. But I'm keen to make it something that our whole family gets on board with, and not just Murray and I. Or not just me. So I think, maybe
all
picking
phones off everywhere from all the teenagers.
Yeah. I think it's great because we are so busy these days and we don't need to be.
Yeah.
There's always stuff that you can pair off your life, and everyone can ask God, what is that thing that I need to do, that first step to help me achieve even a partial Sabbath, you know?
Absolutely. Well, it's a practice we're invited into. It's not mandated. And so what's your advice for me, Mel, on my takeaway for fasting was I'm actually going to continue this Wednesdays and Fridays like the early Christians did. Wednesday to identify with the betrayal of Jesus, Friday to identify with his suffering. However, my Sabbath is going to be Friday. So what do I let go, fasting or Sabbath? Tell me what to do.
I would say get in touch with the Lord. Handball. I mean, everyone though, you know, that says, I always say to my kids, hey, the Bible says my sheep know my voice. So you guys know the voice of God, and you've just got to trust that. I always say to God, not always, but I often say to God, even if I was the dumbest Christian in all creation, God would get through to me however he needs to. If it's a brick falling from the sky with a little note saying, Melinda, Bronwyn, give up fasting, not Sabbath.
Mondays and Wednesdays, here we go.
So, God, he's so kind, and he never brings judgment. Even when I ate during my fast on the 9th day and I was tempted to, you know, have guilt because I definitely was saying, yes, I'm going to make it. And the kids are like, yeah, we're going to run a bet. They were running a tab on how far would Mum make it.
Fasting block.
You know, so you got your kid guilt, and then you've potentially got the devil's guilt. But you know what? You never get he never says, you failed. And that's the same with the Sabbath.
That's so good. Andrew, will you pray for us all? We'll be 3 weeks into this. Can you kind of prophetically envision where we might be up to 3 weeks in, and pray for all our churches and all the people of God and what they've been invited into?
Yeah, sure. God, we just thank you that the fasting and Sabbath is an invitation. It's not mandated, but it's modelled by you. Thank you that you did model it straight from the first part of Genesis, where you rested on the seventh day. And Jesus, thank you for just modelling that in your human life on earth, where you went away and just rested and just spent time with your Father. And so we just ask that you will give us the freedom, the grace and the space to just play around in this area, no matter what it looks like, just to implement bits and pieces. If it is a discipline or if it's easy peasy, we just ask that you'll help us to see how we can get more of you through these disciplines in our life. God, just thank you that you invite us to do this. This is really cool. Having a day off, but getting closer to you, having full access to you is just awesome. We thank you for that. And we ask, Lord, that collectively as a group of churches that you will help us to do that, but as individuals as well, that you would give us personal revelation as to how good this is, how beneficial it is, and how much you want us to do this. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.